a quick recap of where we should be. We got your problem statement. You did your historical background of that problem statement. You did your 3 case studies. You did your 5 literature reviews. And as of last week, you turned in your 4 possible alternatives based on those case studies and literature reviews and any other research you put together that you wanted to use to develop those 4 potential alternatives. What we're going to do tonight is section 2 of the capstone, and that is explain how we make the determination which of those 4 is going to be the best one. So it'll take us a little while tonight, so please be patient. I have quite a bit of handouts for you, and we'll go through it. If you have any questions, please ask, because it's very, very important that you get this. What you're about to do is called the data collection portion and the analysis of your data collection portion. And so the methodology that we use in this particular course is called Quantitative Comparative Analysis. Now, don't let that frighten you, because they're big words, and if you simply dissect them down, they're rather simple to understand. Quantitative means what, Gene?
Quantity?
Quantity, by numbers. Quality would be something different. In a quantity, we're measuring a numerical value. In a qualitative survey or study, we're measuring how people might feel about a particular issue by feelings that they may give you about a particular subject. If I were to say to you, how do you feel about this class? And that was my question. Each of you would write down how you feel about the class. And I could do some follow-up questions. Is there something particular about the class you like? And you would write down how you might say that. Is there something particular you dislike? And you would write that down. Or I could simply say, on a scale of 1 to 5, I like this class because, or I like this class, I don't like this class because, or there are certain aspects of this class I like, agree, strongly agree, no, middle of the road, disagree, strongly disagree. Do you see where I'm going from? So the second one is quantitative. It's forced entry. There's nothing to read into it. You simply pull it together, you collect the data, and based on that, you numerically analyze the data. What we do in this particular class is we do a quantitative study. Now I said comparative. Where does comparative fit in? That's what we're comparing. We're not comparing one alternative against itself. We're comparing the 4 alternatives against each other. Here's how we do that. For each of the alternatives, for each one of these 4 alternatives that you have developed, you're going to be entering numbers in each of these areas. Don't worry about those numbers yet. I'll explain it all here shortly. I just want you to look at the end product and we'll work backwards, because sometimes that makes it much easier. So if you look at this particular spreadsheet, you'll see L1, F1, O1, P1, and then it goes all the way down through L11, F11, O11, and P11. So for each alternative, you're entering 44 different numbers. We'll talk about where you get those numbers in a little bit. You add all those numbers up for this particular alternative. This is a spreadsheet for alternative 1. You add all 4 of them up. The spreadsheet that comes up with the highest amount of numbers is the winner. That's your best possible alternative. In a quantitative comparative analysis, The numbers that go into here have a terminology. They're called weights. Just like you lift weights, they're called weights. The weights in this particular project that you're doing range from 0 to 5. The weights are determined by something called a score. So don't confuse the two. You don't want to say that I weighed a particular one. You don't want to say I scored this. I weighed this. Scores are different in this terminology, and here's how they're different. There is a criteria. Don't worry about this column yet. Don't worry about it yet. We'll get to that. But there is a criteria. Remember I said 0 to 5? There is a criteria used to establish what a 0 is, what a 1 is, what a 2 is, what a 3 is, what a 4 is, what a 5 is. That's called a score. You're going to get the scores. What you're not going to get are the weights. You're going to get the criteria of what constitutes a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. What you have to determine is whether it is a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then enter it into this particular box for the particular criteria that the question is being asked. Now let's talk about the X column across the top. The legal, the financial, the organizational, and the political. You see that? Okay. Somewhere during the course of this program, we have spoken about the legal, financial, organizational, and political matrix of decision making. Did you all pick that up in one of the classes that we discussed it in? If not, we'll briefly go over it again. You're the public administrator. You are the one that has to solve this problem. The very first thing you have to make a determination of, is it legal? So the very first thing you see on this spreadsheet right here is the legal criteria. Again, we will go through it here in a moment. I just want to give you the overview for right now. The next thing you have to determine is, on these alternatives that you're having, what is the financial impact to the organization? First thing, is it legal? Can we do it? Second, do we have the money to do it? If it's not legal and we can't do it, we might as well stop. Second, if it's legal but we have no money to do it, we might as well stop. The third is, I'm running out of room. Organizational. Organizational means simply this: how are things viewed within the organization? How do the people that work in the organization view this particular issue? And finally, there's political. That is, how do people outside of the organization that are affected by that organization's service area view that particular issue? How someone may view it internally could be entirely different than how someone may view it externally. Do you remember the story that I told about the sheriff of Lee County? I used him as an example, just sort of as a small example, where it's a very profitable time, and in this very profitable time, because there's money flowing all over the place, we have the ability legally under Chapter 33.53 for the sheriff to buy any vehicles he wants to buy, any type of vehicle he wants to buy. We've already established that it's a profitable time and the money's there. He's got all the money in the world. He decides that his troops have been very, very good at what they do, and he wants to reward them, so he decides for all the deputies he's going to buy Cadillac Escalades. And the deputies find that very appealing. So organizationally, he's doing very well. Politically, that might be very bad. Yes? On the other hand, it's a rather financially difficult time. And because it's a rather financially difficult time, even though under Chapter 30.53, the sheriff can buy any of the vehicles he wants to buy, he decides that the best vehicles to buy are Ford Fiestas for the deputies to patrol in. Financially, he can just about afford that. Politically, the public says, we like our sheriff. He's watching out for our tax dollars. And he understands that these are hard times, so he's making good decisions. Organizationally, that might be a flop. So, do you see the difference, what we're opposing one to the other here, between organizational and political? There could be things that are popular on both, and there could be things that are negative on both. There could be things that are popular on the organizational side and not popular on the political side, and vice versa. You guys got that? Good. All right. Now, understanding the legal, financial, political, organizational, political, those are the four things you're going to measure. Those are the four issues that you're going to weigh. And you're going to weigh them against certain specific criteria. And those criteria are listed in the Y column. Don't confuse yourself on it right now. I'm going to give you a handout. We're going to go through them one by one so that you feel very comfortable with what you're doing. So we'll go through the handout, and you also have it as a file in your course shell.